8:23. Students at colleges and sixth forms across the West Midlands will be joining protest today against the government's plans to scrap the education maintenance allowance. Now, the grant is worth up to £30 a week to some low-income families with 16 to 18-year-olds who want to stay in full-time education. Ministers say it's going to be replaced with more targeted support for those who actually are in real need. Our reporter Ed Dawes is down at Dudley College this morning. Find out a bit more about what protests could be happening there today. Hi, Ed.
Yes, good morning, Phil. The education maintenance allowance introduced earlier this century is the lifeblood for many families across the West Midlands, and in many cases is the difference between going to college and not. The Save EMA campaign is bringing together students, parents, staff and trade unions and colleges and sixth forms around the country. They'll be holding lunchtime protests against plans to axe the financial support. One of the colleges that is holding a protest today is Dudley College. It affects 78% of students here, and I've just been told further down the road in Wolverhampton 80% of students will be affected. Joining me today is Kim Hughes, the Student Union President for Dudley College. Good morning to you, Kim. Kim, how vital are these payments?
They're very vital. I mean, it stops transport from becoming an issue to a lot of families, considering we all know how expensive bus passes can be, and also even petrol costs so they can drive into college.
And how does it affect the students here in Dudley? What kind of stories have you heard from people who you represent?
Well, it is actually becoming an issue where if it does get removed, they literally can't come into college because they won't be able to buy the resources and they just won't be able to benefit with travel. And if it does get removed, you'll get affected by the parents because the parents would have to try and make the cost, which if they're from a really low income family, they won't be able to.
So from your sort of research and talking to students, it really does affect the number of people who actually enrol in college year on year?
Yeah, it'll become a huge barrier when it gets removed, or if it gets removed, which hopefully it doesn't. It will become a barrier and it will actually stop people from enrolling to college and being able to access further education.
How many of those students that you represent actually spend it on stuff to do with their education? Because students have a bit of a reputation of spending it on alcohol or food or football or something like that.
Okay, we know EMA is not a perfect system, but that doesn't mean it deserves to be scrapped, and I would probably say some students probably do spend that, but I'd say the mass majority does generally need it for general everyday purposes just to access higher education and further.
What do you make of the government's sort of replacement? They said it's going to be more means tested and more focused on the individual.
In lame terms, I think it's a bit dodgy because if it's that great, then they haven't actually substantiated it with actual figures or an actual framework. They've just said, oh, it's means tested, and we expect that to solve everything.
So what about today's action here at Dudley College? It's early at the moment, not many students knocking around. You're expecting quite a good turnout at lunchtime?
Yeah, because it affects such a large majority, we am actually expecting quite a large mass of students to come. And we've got guest speakers such as Ian Austin coming in.
Okay, and I understand it's more of a rally than a protest, is that right?
Yeah, it's just basically a bit where people can get together and kind of show that we do need EMA and we want to support that.
Kim and Ed, hang on there a second because we've just got James Morris on the line. James is, of course, the MP for Halzone and Rowley Regis. James, Kim's listening to you there, head of the Students' Union, has labelled your replacement for the EMA as a bit dodgy. How would you respond to that?
Well, I don't accept that. I think what we need to do is focus our policy very much on targeting those people in real need. So what we're saying is that we think that the discretionary learner support fund needs to replace the educational maintenance allowance because only 12% of young people receiving EMA believe that they would not have participated in the courses they're doing if they had not received an EMA. So there's a huge, what economists call a dead weight cost here. I mean, the last government spent £594 million since 2004 on the educational maintenance allowance. And the reality is that over that same period, you know, the number of 16 to 18-year-olds not in employment educational training actually rose from 9.6 to 10.3%.
So it's not working.
So, yeah, absolutely. I don't believe it's working. And
so let me throw that back to Kim then. Kim, £600 million has been badly used by the previous administration, and if you're really poor, if you really need some support, there will be some support coming your way. Is what Mr. Morris seems to be saying.
Well, firstly, if that's the case, then why can't they publicise this and literally say this is the foundations of the new thing, this is what it means? And also, with that research, if they actually come to a place like Dudley College to actually find out mass majority of facts before they take something away, that can have a huge detrimental effect to education. I mean, you would think that they do actually want to cover all the bases before they do something that has such a big impact.
All right, James, have you spoken to your constituents about it? Have you had a response?
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to all of the colleges in the local area, Halesone College, and meet with Sandwell College. I mean, and I think we're all agreed that what we do need to do across the whole of the educational spectrum is make sure that people most in need, and particularly those from very deprived backgrounds, can make progress in education, whether that's at primary, secondary, or in further education level. And I think that is absolutely critical. But we can't. There's no point in us continuing to pursue policies which have demonstrably failed in the past. You know, we need to get more young people into employment, education, and training. I think everybody would agree that, particularly in the Black Country, where we do have major problems with young people's skills. But we need to make sure that the money that we have is well targeted and actually achieves that objective.
James, isn't it the bigger question, though, that once again you look like you are anti-young people? You've done this, the tuition fees row, all culminated in, well, we only had to watch the television screen to see how that culminated last week. Now you've got this education maintenance allowance. You've been labelled as being against young people, that actually you're pulling the rug from under young people, is how I heard Ed Miliband refer to these plans over the weekend. You're not being very supportive.
No, I don't accept that. I mean, what we're trying to do is, in difficult economic circumstances, target spending on, as I say, the most deprived in our communities. We would accept that there's a problem with unemployment and skills of young people in the Black Country, and we're trying to target the resources we have on trying to find solutions for those young people. So I don't accept that we're anti-young people. We're coming up with solutions. We're actually trying to target across the whole educational spectrum with our pupil premium at primary and secondary level to get the most deprived kids the support they need to improve their education. And we made a tough decision on tuition fees, but that system that we've come up with, nobody's going to pay anything back until they start earning $21,000, which is average earnings. It's a fair and progressive system.
James, appreciate it. James Morris, MP for Halesone and Raleigh Regis this morning, and Kim Hughes, Student Union President at Dudley College's Broadway campus, talking to our reporter Ed Dawes this morning on BBC WM.
It's BBC WM 95.6 FM. Tammy Gooding in for Joanne Mail, and Joe is back tomorrow morning from 9:30. Now, protests are due to take place all over the country to save the education maintenance allowance. This is paid to 500,000 people in sixth forms and colleges. Now, the payments, which can be worth up to £30 a week to students, are being axed next year. It'll be replaced by a learner support fund that will be administered by the college themselves. We've been talking to students at South Staffordshire College about the change.
I'd love £30 a week because it will go a long way, but I mean, I do have a part-time job, £4 an hour, and I do like 4-hour shifts, so that's £16 for working, and I only do 2 shifts a week, so I don't really get that much money, but at least I'm still trying to get some money.
What will it mean to your students if they don't get the education maintenance allowance?
The fact that they're having a privilege taken away from them, so that might cause stress and anxiety, and they might not be able to carry on coming to college.
Hi, my name's Reece Colley. I'm a student at South Staffs College. Because I live with just one parent, which is my mum, and it's hard for her to provide because being there's only one income in the house, so she's got to pay for the bills and that, which is going to be hard. And look, my extra £30 a month actually went a long way because I could get food and that to provide for like the rest of the family and that.
Now, earlier this morning on Phil Upton at breakfast, we heard from the student president at Dudley College. In fact, our reporter Ed Dawes is still at the college. Ed, just explain what these changes mean.
Yes, good morning, Tammy. Yes, this grant is worth up to £30 a week to low-income families with 16 to 18-year-olds who want to stay in full-time education. And being here this morning, it's really interesting to hear the individual stories of how the money is spent and how it will affect them. And I've got 4 students with me, actually. I've got Matt and Victoria who rely on the EMA quite heavily. Matt, how is it going to affect you if that money's taken away?
Well, basically it'd be hard for me to get to college in the morning, and also resources and everything will be really hard to get by because I don't get the money.
So what do you spend the money on when you get it?
Well, basically because I need a lot of books and everything, I basically buy that one with my money. So that's about it really.
And if it's gone, then what happens? Will you not come back next year?
Well, I'd think about going to an apprenticeship for better reasons of pay, and also it's not too far to travel, so it'd be a lot easier for me.
So your education will just halt and you'll have to go and get your hands dirty?
Yep, basically.
Okay, and what about you, Victoria? What's your situation?
If I don't get the EMA, I won't be able to get to college because I use my EMA to get bus pass to get to college because I have to catch 2 buses. Otherwise, I have to just drop out or just find a job.
Do you think they're actually looking at personal circumstances currently, or do you, I mean, from your home life background, do you qualify for the whole £30?
No, I only qualify for £20, but it's not very good because my mum uses benefits and I don't get any money off them anyway. So I should get the £30, but I only get £20 because of the benefits.
So this education for you is kind of a great hope for your future, and you think that basically the government's going to pull the rug from under your feet?
Yes, I think that is like the governments don't look at other people. It's just they just look at how they just want to care about because they want more money to spend.
Okay, let's move on to Jasmine and Chloe, because you're BTEC students coming to the end of your or in your second year, and you're both planning to go to university, I gather, and of course you're going to get a double hit, aren't you? Let's talk to you, Jasmine, first.
Hi.
So what Jasmine, what's your situation with the EMA?
Well, basically I receive £30 a week, which allows me to get here, obviously, and for any other college expenses such as books and day-to-day living, basically, such as food and that.
Okay, and obviously you're going to get it. Are you going to get it till the end of your year?
Yeah.
Right, and also wanting to go to university at the end of this kind of BTEC period, you're going to have to start paying massive tuition fees. How does that make you feel with this sort of your whole education, university life still out there ready?
Well, basically I've had to change my plans from going to uni this year to go in 2 years' time, so because I don't want to be in any debt. I've had to change basically my plans, so I'm having to find a job, work for 2 years and save to go to university.
And do you think you'll be able to raise enough money to be able to afford it then?
Probably just for like 1 year, if that.
Okay, and Chloe, what about your situation? How reliant have you been on the EMA since you've been at college?
Well, I've been very reliable because I live in Bridgnorth, so I have to catch 2 buses to and from college, and without that I wouldn't be able to afford it. And because there's no college in Bridgnorth, there's only a sixth form which doesn't offer me the courses that Dudley College does, so I wouldn't be able to go to college at all if I didn't have that £30 week funding.
Okay, well Tammy, it looks as though there's hundreds of students across the country who have similar stories like this. I've just interrupted to pull them out of their banner making this morning for the protest, which is getting underway here at about 12:30, and hopefully we'll bring you some more on that later.
Lovely. And the students there at Dudley College today protesting then, Ed, yeah?
Yeah, 12:30 it all kicks off. They're making banners and placards, and it's the best Blue Peter skills that you probably could ever imagine.
Sticky back plastic
That's
to the
it.
ready, huh? Thank you very much. Ed Dawes over at Dudley College.